If you are too rigid, it's gonna affect you and it's gonna affect your loved ones. Be flexible, love yourself, love your family, love others. Listen to this video, it's gonna make a big difference between you being flexible or too rigid. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome to my channel. I am Frank Quiniguez, the ambassador of reading. And today's topic is a beautiful topic. Like all my topics, I love them. Today's topic is about being too rigid, too strict on yourself. Many people want it their way or their highway. They want it their way or nothing at all. And usually when people are like that, when something doesn't go their way, they cut off communication. And communication is key to success, is key to having a better relationship. Communication is a big factor in living a beautiful life. So when people are too rigid and they cut off communication, they are cutting off opportunities. Now, let me tell you, I always tell you stories that go with whatever I'm talking about. And today's story is personal, it touches my heart because it's about my father-in-law. When I met my father-in-law, he was a very rigid guy. He had a very stern look and a very stern way of communicating. And I remember my wife and I, we were just little babies. We were 24 years old and we decided to get married because we loved each other, I guess. Well, not I guess, I know. I love my wife. I know she loves me. Anyway, we get married and I end up living at my in-laws' home. And I remember I would always hear stories. They had a total of 11 siblings. And they would tell me that their father was so strict that many times they would go visit a compadre or a comadre and they would sit in the living room and he would only have to just look at them and be firm, and they knew they couldn't move. They had to be and do things in a certain way where like, wow, that's so strict. So when you make things too strict, you cut off communication. You're not gonna allow communication for your children or for your wife or for yourself. So be nice, be flexible. Those that are more flexible have more an opportunity to grow. Let me tell you, I don't know exactly where I heard this story. You can look it up on the phone or you can look it up on the computer, Google it as they say. But the United States was having a hard time making high-risers. And so they as a wonderful system that they have, they said, who is creating high-risers that are being able to sustain without breaking and without causing any damage? And it turned out that Japan was building high-risers that didn't cause any trouble. So architects and engineers and those that were interested about those buildings, they took off and visited Japan. And what they discovered is that they put coils at the bottom of the foundation, and on top of those coils, they built the towers, the buildings, the high-risers. And so whenever they had an earthquake, the whole building would shift, and it would allow for the building to stay intact and be safe. And so when they got back to the United States, that's what they started doing here. You can look it up to make it so. I mean, that's the story I heard. I was in construction many years ago. I must have heard it along the way. I know you're gonna be able to find it in the phone someplace. Also, let me tell you, I don't know if I've ever mentioned it in my other videos, but I like boxing. And along those lines, when I was a kid, I was growing up, I liked this one guy that was awesome in martial arts. His name was Bruce Lee. And they interviewed Bruce Lee and Bruce Lee said, how is it that you have become one of the best at this sport? And he says, because I have learned how to become like water. And he suggests to us that we become like water. And we're like, well, like, wow, liquid? He says, look, when you put water in a cup, it becomes the cup. If you put it in a plate, it becomes the plate. If you put it in any shape and you pour water, the water takes its shape. And you know what he's talking about? He's talking about being flexible. The more flexible you are, the less you're gonna suffer. I mean, of course, you wanna request and require the best from you. However, you don't want to be so rigid that you break and you break communication and nothing happens. Life is always going to send a situation. How do you handle the situation? Are you too rigid that it's either your way or nothing at all? It stops right there. Or it sends you a situation and you move with it. Like, what do you do? I hope that you choose to be flexible. Being flexible allows you to have opportunities, allows you to grow. And many people that are not too flexible, they cut off communication, they cut off their growth. Talking about my father-in-law, great man. I'm very grateful, very fortunate that I ended up with my wife's family, because even though he was very rigid, he always wanted the best for everybody. I know in his hometown in Mexico, Tepic Nayarit, he was able to help small temple they have on top of a hill. He helped in a senior home. He donated money for that. He donated for a few things. So even though he was very rigid, he also had a big heart. And connecting this story to the next story, I just came back from doing a live seminar over in the state of Jalisco in Guadalajara. And I met this couple. I had already known them before, but they came over to meet us again and see us and talk to us. It turns out that my father-in-law was the godfather to this young man. And I got to share a few hours with Gonzalo Arce and his wife, Liliana. They have 2 children, wonderful children. I love their communication. I was just so absorbed into watching them and listening to them. The young man was communicating with his father like a young man, and he's only like in the 4th grade. The communication that both Gonzalo and Liliana, which are the father and the mother of these 2 siblings, the way they have their communication with their 2 children is unbelievable. They're so flexible. There was even a situation where the young man, the son of Gonzalo, asked him a question. He goes, we're not going to talk about it right now. However, how about if we talk about it when we get home? And I'm like, wow, they're going to talk about it, but not now. And the kid was like, okay, got it. We'll talk about it at home. Be flexible. If you're flexible with your loved ones and you communicate and you make a good life for yourself, a better life for your family, your immediate family, who knows? It could expand to your community, your city, the whole world. And I want to thank everybody that's watching. I want to say thank you for making the time to stop at this channel, listen to the information. I think it's wonderful information. I usually connect it to the person that's watching or the family in general. I think this is great information to share. So if you like it, subscribe and share it with your friends. Let it go out there. I know that a lot of people around the world are watching now, and I thank you for that. We're going to leave it at that. I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all those that have subscribed. And till next time, your friend, the ambassador of reading, Frank Quiniguez, wishing you well today and always, knowing that you will find and get what you are looking for.